Be part of the peace movement. Share this episode using hashtag the Great Disarmament and download the free peace resource guide at aviskalfsbeck.com/peace guide. The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, Part 1, Mapping the Kill. What if I told you that the Great Disarmament has already begun? Not as a slogan or a policy or a dream, but as something quiet and ongoing, something most people haven't noticed, and yet something real. Hi, I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, author, podcast host, and peace storyteller. This is The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, a special series from Pieces Here. Over the next 14 episodes, we'll trace two histories, war and agriculture, side by side. We'll look at how they were industrialized, monetized, and weaponized, and we'll ask, if they were built this way, can they be unbuilt? This first episode sets the stage, not just for the weapons we made, but for the world they shaped. Because before we can see disarmament clearly, we need to understand what exactly was armed. Setting the stage. For most of human history, farming and war were seen as opposites. One destroys, one feeds. But in the last century, their paths have intertwined. Many of the technologies and chemicals developed for modern warfare were later adapted for agriculture. After World War I, the same ammonium nitrate used in explosives became the basis for synthetic fertilizers. After World War II, leftover nerve agents were reformulated as pesticides. In each case, the language changed, but the logic remained. Control, eliminate, conquer, kill. The enemy at times became the land itself. And so we plowed deeper, sprayed wider, harvested faster. We poisoned pests, yes, but also pollinators. We increased yields, but also greenhouse gases. We called it progress, but much of what we built resembled war. Rachel Carson saw it coming. In 1962, she published Silent Spring, a book that warned not only of chemical pesticides, but of the mindset behind them. Silent Spring became a catalyst for the modern environmental movement, prompting congressional hearings and the eventual ban of DDT in the United States. Man is a part of nature, she wrote, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself. Carson was a marine biologist, a government scientist, and a poetic voice in a time of Cold War anxiety. She was also ridiculed by chemical companies, government officials, and even some academics. But her words endured, and more than 60 years later, her insights still resonate. That arming isn't always loud. That disarmament might begin by simply paying attention. So that's where we begin, with two stories that are really one, the story of how we learned to kill better and the story of how we began to question it. This series follows those threads. In Part 1, The Great Disarmament, we'll explore how agriculture, once a practice of sustenance, was transformed into a machine of domination. In Part 2, The Great Disarmament, we'll follow the people who have resisted that transformation, not through speeches or summit declarations, but those were certainly a part of the process, but through choices to compost, to seed save, to unlearn violence. In each episode, we'll visit a moment in history, meet a voice from that moment, and ask what they were trying to tell us and whether we listened. Because some people have been listening. Teo, no scratching. That's my dog, Teo. Quietly, relentlessly, often at great cost. This podcast is for them and for anyone who wonders whether change, quiet, transformative, collective, is already underway, and maybe for you too. In 1962, a quiet marine biologist turned the page on what we thought we knew about nature and about ourselves. In Silent Spring, Rachel Carson gave the world more than a warning. She gave us a new way to listen. It was a book of facts, but also a book of grief. Carson wove together science and lyricism, painting the earth as a living, breathing system under siege. She didn't just criticize pesticides, she revealed the mindset that made them seem necessary, a mindset of conquest, domination, and disconnection. She wrote, "The control of nature is a phrase conceived in arrogance, born of the Neanderthal age of biology and philosophy." And yet she did not write in despair. She wrote in defense of wonder. She reminded us that to poison the soil is to poison our future, that a silent spring is not just a metaphor, but a prophecy we are still trying to undo. This series holds her voice close. Each week, we'll ask what happens when attention becomes its own form of resistance, and what we might hear if we dare to listen. Because maybe Silent Spring wasn't just a warning. Maybe it was an invitation to see that the Great Disarmament has already begun. In the next episode, we go back to where it started, clubs and compost, when tools were simple, when death still smelled like dirt, and when life still meant listening. Before you go, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the 14 episodes in the Great Disfarmament, the Great Disarmament series. That wraps up this episode of Peace is Here. Will you please take a moment to subscribe and share it with a friend? Subscribing helps others discover peaceful, independent storytelling, and it means a lot to me. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, author of the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series, eco-adventure novellas for readers who care about environmental justice, joy, and saving the world one story at a time. You can learn more at aviskalfsbeck.com. Book 6, Mono Mutante, is now available at all major online retailers, or if you'd like to support my book directly, you can get the ebook at aviskalfsbeck.com/mono-mutante. It's a wild satirical ride through food, farming, and the messiness of recovery. When you subscribe to my list, you'll also be the first to hear about my next book, Bulletproof, which asks, what in the world are we going to do about guns? A link to subscribe is in the show notes. From October 18th to November 8th, 2025, I'm running a live Kickstarter campaign. I'd be so grateful if you'd visit aviskalfsbeck.com/Kickstarter to get notified. I'm creating a companion field journal for Book 1, One More Year, called Peace Stuff Primer, along with a stage play version of the book. I can't wait to share it with you. This episode was human narrated by me with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it ever makes something up. So far, no confessions, but if you think I've missed something or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. You'll find links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp in the show notes. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace.